I was also one of the affected parties by losing my job. A phone number of a managing director or a president or a vice president in your phone is not a guarantee that the person is going to help you.
Yeah. Writing a script for a movie or a book or a marketing campaign for that matter, it needs to have that particular emotion that person needs to feel after seeing that particular thing or after reading something.
Stories and characters are the best way to connect with any kind of audience. I thought that it is going to be very easy when it comes to book marketing. But it is not. It is very, very difficult, especially for any author or any budding author. I would say the book is like your own child.
How do you get over a creative block? Hey guys, welcome to another episode of AMA Marketing Podcast, co-powered by Altera Institute of Management by DigiAxle, a specialist institute in marketing and growth. So today we have a very special guest with us. He's the national best-selling author of the book, Fall, Don't Fail, that has sold thousands of copies. He's also worked as national head at Bajaj Auto, director at General Motors, and has also worked with Maruti Suzuki. So let's talk to him. Hi Rohit, how are you?
I'm good, Aakriti. Thank you so much.
So thank you so much for coming here. I've already spoken a lot about you to our audience, but they would love to hear more from you.
Okay, thanks a lot for having me here, first of all, Aakriti, and thanks for the energetic introduction that you gave me as an author. So yes, I am an author of the book Fall, Don't Fail. Besides that, I have around quarter of a century of experience working with different corporates. So talking about my professional journey, I started with a cement company with Birlas, then I moved to automobile with Maruti Suzuki, worked with General Motors, Bajaj Auto, did a consulting project with Nissan also. And I have worked in education sector, very diverse profile handled in social sector, and I worked in agriculture sector also.
Wow.
So I have sold and marketed products from cement to cars to education to consulting to vegetables also.
And now books.
And now books. That's right.
Right. So how did you turn into an author? Like you worked with Bajaj, you worked with Maruti, General Motors. How did you take that switch? How did you actually become an author?
Yeah, so that is definitely not a very designed kind of journey for me as an author. There was an event which happened with me in my professional life, which is the closure of General Motors from India. One fine day, they decided to quit India, and that was a very catastrophic event for thousands of people working in General Motors.
Yeah.
I was also one of the affected parties by losing my job, kind of overnight. And what I saw around me and in my life also, that basically we are not designed or we are not taught from our childhood, neither in our families nor in social circles, how to deal with failures. A lot is talked about how to be successful, but seldom we have read any content or anyone has advised us on how to deal with failures. And that is what motivated me to start writing about my journey, how I started, planning to come back bigger, better and stronger when that catastrophic event happened. I was also in the same league of not having, any idea or clue about how to come back. So when I started writing, I never thought that it is going to be a book, but I thought I will write a blog or an article I will share with the people who are suffering from pink slip trauma. But when I started writing, I saw that the content is so much that it cannot be covered in a blog, and that resulted in a first manuscript of my book, which I kept aside after writing for many months. And one fine day I picked it up and showed it to a couple of my well-wishers. They gave a very nice feedback and motivated me to complete it as a book, and that's why I started polishing it from the book perspective. So that is my journey.
Yeah, that is so nice, and having those kind of friend circle is so important, that people who come and motivate you. And I'm sure that it must have been like a very difficult time for you, and these guys would have like supported you through and through.
Yes, I mean the event which took our jobs, my job and many thousands of my known people's job, it was definitely a very tough time, testing times. And to share with you, there were thoughts and talks about committing suicides and etc. Not, I mean, I didn't thought it as an option, But there were people who were talking about those things maybe in a joking way, but somewhere down the line that was also one of the options that people were considering. So yes, it is a blessing to have people around you who are really really caring and well wishing. And in my book also I have shared, kind of I have bared my heart in how we can be so wrong in judging the people on both the sides, on the right side, on the wrong side, and what should be the approach when it comes to creating your personal network.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm sure. So today layoffs are so common, right? This was back in when? Like this incident happened when?
This incident happened in 2017.
Yeah,
So
and layoffs were not that common then.
correct, absolutely correct. And that, I mean, layoffs became so accepted in a way after COVID that,
Yeah.
thousands of people getting laid off
Yeah.
almost every day.
Yeah.
Big giants, IT giants and startups have laid off thousands and dozens of people
Yeah.
overnight. So that has become kind of a very accepted norm. But since
Equally challenging.
equally challenging, since I am in touch with so many people whose job has lost, I mean, in recent times also, the trauma remains the same.
Yeah.
The depression remains the same. The difficulty remains the same. So in my book, I have not only covered what people went through or what we can expect from our friends, neighbors, relatives, ex-colleagues, bosses, but also I have talked about my own personal experience, that how you can plan a comeback.
Right.
And that is where the dealing with failures comes in handy.
Right. So, with so many people facing the same thing, going through the same things every day, right? What would you tell them that how did you, kind of manage, a comeback wherein you actually wrote a book and, did something out of it? How can they, like everybody cannot do it, right? Maybe because of the motivation levels or whatever, right? What would you tell them that how did you overcome that and, kind of wrote a book?
Idea of writing the book is to give back to the society, what I have learned. And what I have learned is that there are three things which can help you in staging a comeback. These three things are your skills, what you know, what you can deliver. So that is your skills. Second is your connect of people, right? And third is luck. So luck you cannot manage, of course. So let's take it out of the equation. And you need to know and work around your skills actually. That is what will liberate you and which will give you a safe zone when it comes to careers. So in my book also I have given a very detailed 7-step way of actually finding out whether what you consider as a skill. Say suppose, so I was in sales and marketing, right? I did that skill evaluation on myself also, and out of 70 marks I could gather 34 marks, right? So I was not a very very skilled person despite of having fancy titles and big roles in the corporates. When I really really evaluated my skill, I was not even 50% of what I should be.
Yeah.
So that is what I think one should work on, because
Absolutely.
one line I heard, तेरा हुनर ही तुझे आज़ाद कराएगा. So you should know your skill very well, and you should know whether you are skilled or not.
Yeah.
Maybe you are holding a title, maybe you are doing a job, but that doesn't guarantee that you are actually skilled. So that is
Absolutely.
one thing. Second is about the people connect. You should know that a phone number or a contact or a person that you know, right, is not going to help you when it comes to a something really really big, like you want a job or you want a support, right?
Yeah.
So I have also talked about how you can in a 2x2 matrix you can put your connects, right? A phone number of a managing director or a president or a vice president in your phone, maybe your ex-boss, maybe your ex-colleague, right, is not a guarantee that the person is going to help you.
Yeah.
So two aspects of it. One is whether the person is really really able that he can help you or she can help you, and the person is also willing to help you.
Yeah.
If you fall in both the categories correct, then probably you can call a connect. Otherwise it is a phone number in your phone book.
Right. That's some advice, definitely. Let's talk more about the book. So
Sure.
I'm really fascinated, being an aspiring author myself. How many copies have you sold till now?
Yeah, so that's a question which I am being asked by a lot of people, including my own family members also. Frankly speaking and genuinely speaking, that I mean I have not counted. The book is being sold from multiple channels, so I have to find out each channel sales and then add it up. It's in good thousands. That is what I can say. It has not reached a million copies so far. Uh, but frankly speaking, the objective of writing the book was never to have a number. I was a bean collector throughout my life, being in sales and marketing, and have faced 300 month ends. That is what I counted recently. That I am a veteran of 300 month ends, wherein I counted how many sales we have done, both in terms of revenue or in terms of units. But for the book's sake, for this was a very personal venture of writing a book. The number was never important for me. The more important was to do a quality job, to create a good book, and it became Amazon bestseller number one twice in past 2 years. That is kind of very satisfying thing. More than that, people who has read that book, who has completed the book by reading it. I have written in my book also that book is not complete when you write it. Book is complete when it is read by someone.
Yeah.
So a lot of readers have completed my book by reading it, and when they called me, because they know me personally also, or they have written reviews on Amazon, etc. That is very gratifying and satisfying, and no number can actually give that kind of satisfaction.
Absolutely. I think this really fits in well with Bhagavad Gita when it's written that karam karta ja, phal ki chinta mat kar, right?
Oh yes, absolutely. You can say that.
Yes, absolutely. So did you ever expect that it would get such a good response?
No, I never expected this kind of response. This is definitely overwhelming for me as well. I was too much focused on doing a good job when it comes to the content of the book that I was writing. My only objective was to become a published author, to write a book. If someone is going through the same phase, they can refer my book, and someone is interested in a very melodramatic story based on true events, actually, then they can pick the book. So I worked a lot on the content of the book, the polishing of the book, editing of the book. So that was my objective. I never expected. I thought that few people from my own circle will buy that book, and that is end of it. But I will have a book forever in my hand that has my name on it.
No, absolutely. I think whenever there is hard work, there are results. So I'm sure it is going to do more well in the future. So Rohit, tell us about your favorite character from the book.
Okay, so it's very difficult to take a name of one particular character. All the characters were very dear ones to me. Even the character which played the negative or a negative shade, those are also very near to me. But I think what resonated most with the readers, I can say, is the character of Radheshyam. So Radheshyam was the tea seller in our in the office of the protagonist, and he was privy to a lot of conversations of people who are coming down to have a sip of tea. He was running a small kind of tapri, you can say, and so there were a lot of conversations which were going on, and he turned out to be a very wise man actually. So the protagonist also interacted with him in his last few days very intensely about why he thought that this car company is going out of business, etc., etc. And the Radheshyam gave very nice advice, etc. That why Indian customers are so typical, how MNCs should adapt to the ways of Indian customers, etc., etc. So he turned out to be a very wise man, to the extent that protagonist, when he quit the job and he is already paying slip, so he decided to start on his own. So he hired Radheshyam as Chief Human Officer.
Wow.
Yeah. So he was definitely not trained to be a chief human officer, but yes, he became that because purely from his understanding of people and his business acumen as well.
Oh yeah, that's very nice. That's very interesting actually.
And we have, I think, Radheshyams across all the corporates, where we have a tapri wala who is basically serving hot
and he knows all
tea.
the gossip.
And he knows all the gossips, and probably he became very wise person.
Yeah. No, I'm sure. Very interesting. So Rohit, you worked with Maruti, you worked with Bajaj Auto, General Motors. So what did you do there exactly?
Okay, so for last 25 years, I am part of sales and marketing functions, verticals. I handled many regional profiles, and later on in my career, I handled national profiles also. So basically, chasing the numbers and building the brand is what is the core of it, and that gave me opportunity of meeting very very different kind of people across the country. Probably every nook and corner I have been to. It's a vast country, so can't claim to be 100% covered. But yes, a fair amount of coverage I have done, and that has given me very different perspective of different places and different people. So that is what I have done. In the later part of my career, in last say about a decade or so, I think I have nurtured talent also when it comes to sales and marketing domain. A lot of people who have worked with me are now heading different verticals in different organizations. That is very very satisfying thing to
That's
see.
nice.
Yeah.
So how was it, like the career switch? How did you manage it?
So career switch was very very designed thing till the time this General Motors thing happened, right? I was doing well and got opportunities which are much bigger and better than what I was doing previously. General Motors, quitting India, that forced me to switch my career. And honestly speaking, I really really enjoyed it after the initial few months when it was very traumatic. After that, I was very liberated. I was very confident that I can, handle any kind of fall. And then I experimented a lot, and I realized one thing, that if your intent is right, if your fundamentals are good, then no matter what the product you are handling is, it is matter. It doesn't matter actually, because what matters is that your fundamentals are in place, your intent is right, and your approach is good. Even if I switched from say cement to automobiles, from automobiles to perhaps social sector, from social sector to say vegetables, for example, and consulting, so it doesn't bother me anymore. And I think we need to live more lives in one life. That is
Yeah.
what I see in career switches also.
No, no, absolutely. And how has your career helped you with the book? Like,
Oh yes, I can give almost all my credit of writing the book to my career only, because it is in the backdrop of a corporate. I got to meet a lot of different kind of characters,
yeah,
people who have nurtured me as an individual, who has helped me in knowing what to do, and many of them also told me or helped me in knowing what not to do. That is also very very important.
Yeah.
To understand what not to do, what are the bad practices. So meeting different people, privy to a lot of different situations, right? Good, bad, tough, easy, happy, not so happy, has helped me in building my perspective. And when I started writing the book, that all came very very handy to me. So my
Yeah.
corporate experience has definitely a lot to play in what I did as a
No, no,
writer.
absolutely. And you talked about characters here, right? So this podcast is all about marketing, and I'm sure that our audience would love to know. So obviously, all these aspiring brand managers, people like me, managers who already doing marketing, right? We need characters in our campaigns, right? Whenever we are building a campaign for anything related to marketing. So I would love to know from you, how did you come up with characters in your book?
Oh yes, so you have asked a very very interesting question. I have given a lot of interviews, but somehow people have neglected my characters or my building of characters. Right, that is something very very interesting. The first thing when I started writing the book was I wrote the characters, that what characters are going to make that story. So that story was in my mind for sure, but then I needed some characters who are going to be part of that story. So there was the protagonist came, then his wife came, and then there are children, then there should be both the genders in the children. Those kind of minute details I took care. Then there were negative characters, so what should be their name, right? What they should look like. Even when I started writing the book, I wrote name of each character, and then I described his physique also, his tall, his thin.
Wow.
Because it should, when I was writing, and there were minor small things which keep on coming. So there was long debate with myself only, that what should be the name of the main character. So
Yeah,
I
that's
started
always,
with
that's always a
that was
trouble.
always a challenging thing. I started with Rohan because it was resonating my name, right? But then we found Rohan is a very is not looking like the kind of experience we are showing. That Rohan name was not in vogue in those times. So then we deliberated on Suraj, etc. etc. I mean, no offense to any name, but finally we zeroed down on Vikram because Vikram was sounding as someone who is actually strong but vulnerable. That kind of feeling it was giving. So character building is very important. And when I was writing the book, the initial character building that I have done against each name, what I have written is physique, his taste, what kind of clothes he wear or she wears, what kind of emotional person that person is, helped me in writing those small sentences or small paragraphs because that character was in my mind.
Yeah.
Had I been writing without the description of the character, I would have gone haywire.
Absolutely.
Yeah. One of the very interesting one of the very interesting incidents of character building was that there was a guy who was basically a vendor, a supplier, Ayaz Bhai. So, in the book, so Ayaz Bhai was a businessman who used to come to office for his business, right? But he was a very good man, and that thing, goodness, was not very coming out in the story. Then I noticed, because Ayaz Bhai was basically a name taken for actually a real person, then I just try to figure out that how I can humanize this person more and how I can place him in a better light. I realized he used to do one thing. He used to distribute or he always used to carry some toffees or candies in his pocket. And everyone was fascinated because everyone knew that Ayaz Bhai was diabetic, so he cannot eat candies, but he was always carrying the candies. And later on, by chance, the protagonist Vikram saw Ayaz Bhai when he was on the red light and there were kids around him asking for freebies or money, you can say. He was offering those candies to him. So that kind of heart he had, very connected with the realities of the world, and very nice person. So that's how we build characters. And the moment you go in the book to that part of Ayaz Bhai basically carrying the candies for the kids on the street, that changes your complete understanding, perception for Ayaz Bhai. So that is why the character building is very important. I found Vikram is not very humor kind of person. So then I deliberately found what was the humor thing, that because I know that the person is not having any lack of humor. So we found some incidences, put it there. That's where I think the story becomes interesting for the audience.
Yeah.
So you need to build the characters.
It needs to evoke that emotion.
Oh yes, true, very much.
I think today everything we do, like for example, even if we are casting someone in a movie, or we are writing a script for a movie or a book or a marketing campaign for that matter, it needs to have that particular emotion that person needs to feel after seeing that particular thing or after reading something, right? So I think that emotion and that emotional connect with the audience is very important.
Oh yes, 100%. Emotional connect is important, and stories are the best way to connect. Stories and characters are the best way to connect with any kind of audience. I will give you one example. You are a science student or a commerce student?
Science.
Science student, good. So you must have read, say, Pythagoras theorem, right? Do you remember Pythagoras theorem? Perhaps. Do you know the usage of Pythagoras theorem? I don't think so, right? Now, Pythagoras theorem, or for that matter, any theorem that we read in geometry or trigonometry or calculus, etc., our life was dependent on that, right? We are going to have questions around that in exam, right? We mugged them. Teachers taught us. We took extra classes. We took extra reference books and mugged them up completely. Do we remember them now? No. What we remember is the story of a thirsty crow, right? That's the power of storytelling. We remember the story of hare and tortoise. No one asked any question about thirsty crow. No one asked any question about hare and a tortoise. But they were compelling stories. No one asked about monkey and the crocodile story.
Yeah.
Where crocodile has a intention of eating his heart. So, but still we remember them. We remember their meaning. We remember what they taught us, right? Because they were compelling stories. They were compelling characters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. No, absolutely. And I think that holds true today for everything and anything we do. Today, for example, if I'm writing on LinkedIn, I see a lot of people, connecting to posts that I write more, which are more story oriented,
Yeah.
wherein I'm narrating an incident to people. And I've seen a lot of other creators also doing similar things, which is so important because people now genuinely want to connect with people and not just randomly read stuff or kind of do stuff.
Yeah, I completely agree. People are interested in stories, and you know, counter to the common understanding that stories are for children, I think stories are for adults. Adults are the one who are consuming story more. Be it a political story, be it a sports story, be it a movie, be it a OTT content, be it a reel.
Yeah.
I mean, be it a game also, gaming, right? There are stories in the game also. I will give you one example uh, because cricket is all, I mean, we are all very close to cricket. So there is a match which is going on. There is a scoreboard which is also giving you the score. Then why you need a commentary,
Yeah.
right? You need commentary to make the facts. Facts are happening on the ground. There is a bowler who is bowling. There is a batsman who is trying to hit it. There are fielders who are trying to field the ball. So everything is happening, you can see the fact, you can still enjoy it, but no, you need a commentator because commentator is basically creating a story.
Great example.
Right?
Yeah.
And on top of it, after watching the entire match live, listening to the commentary, next day morning we are interested in reading it in the newspaper also, what happened, which we saw from our own eyes, but we want to read it in a form of a story in a newspaper.
Correct.
So stories are important, facts are not that important. I mean, facts are important, but facts don't stay with you if they are not storified.
Correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But a lot of people, they, come to me with questions like, Aakriti, we are facing creative block. We don't know how to form characters. We don't know how to write, or we're just in a block right now. We don't know how to, get over that block. So what would you tell them? How do you get over a creative block, or how do you, kind of keep yourself and your creativity going?
So, writer's block, creator's block is a very natural thing to happen. And if someone is saying that they haven't faced it, I mean, either they are lucky or they are probably not taking their job very seriously. So, how to deal with it? I think be patient and give it a time. My way of fighting or coming out of writer's block is there is a certain zone which is there in my mind in terms of my thought process. So I know what are the triggers which makes, I mean, which takes me to that zone. So I suggest everyone to understand what is their zone when they are creative. Actually, we are not creative 24/7. We need certain kind of mindset.
Absolutely.
And maybe in some cases certain kind of physical environment also, maybe clutter free, maybe noise free, etc. So but there is a zone, mental zone, there is a physical zone which everyone requires to be creative. So just give yourself time and work on coming into that zone. Maybe you want to listen that song, maybe you want to see that movie, maybe you want to have a cup of tea with one of that friend, right? All this is part of conditioning your mind to go into that zone. And then physical environment you can manage little relatively easily because it is in your hands to create that physical environment of noiselessness or maybe clutter free desk, etc. And then I can guarantee you, if you are in the zone, you are unstoppable.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that is great advice. So, Rohit, you just now mentioned that it's difficult to remember facts, right, without storytelling. So, is there a balance that we can strike between factual accuracy and creative freedom?
Oh yes, as a writer or as a storyteller, I would recommend that there should be a balance between a fact and a storytelling creative liberty. Like for example, there will be a Monday after a Sunday, right? That's a fact that you cannot change. I think you should not change unless and until it is a big science fiction that we are talking here. But then there can be a creative freedom in which Monday becomes a person and Monday is talking to say a Tuesday or Monday is talking to Sunday. So that kind of creative freedom is also there. So I think there is a right kind of balance one has to create when it comes to facts and being creative, and you can actually achieve it.
So how can marketers really leverage the power of storytelling?
So I think first of all, they need to be very, very connected and aware of their audience, right? That is, I think, the first and foremost thing.
Yeah.
Second is they should have a very big inventory of facts, right? Lambi lambi fekna, I don't think that is the right kind of marketing. I would say will help in the long run or in the short run also. So I see storytelling by marketeers is something which is similar to a chef cooking something, right? So the ingredients are going to be facts, right? What you cook out of that ingredients is going to be the difference between a good chef or a bad chef or not so good chef, right? I strongly advise to marketeers that you please gather your facts. There can be less facts. There can be less ingredients for the chef, right? You don't have to have a full range of ingredients to become a good chef. I can guarantee. I can give you a lot of cooking ingredients, and still you may turn out to be a bad chef. Vice versa, there can be very less number of ingredients, and there can be a chef who will really make a very interesting dish out of it, right?
Yeah.
That is true for the marketers also. So know your audience very well. Collect the facts around the thing that you are going to market. It can be a product, or it can be a service, or it can be anything else also. So that those facts are the raw material for the story that you are going to create,
Yeah.
and then be a good chef and create a wonderful story out of the facts
Yeah.
that you have. So don't go away from the facts. Let the fact is always there in the story that you are going to tell. But yes, you can always be very creative when it comes to using those facts. That is what is going to
I
make
have
the
a very
difference.
interesting question here, right? So today we have so much information, right? Like we are exposed to digital mediums, right? We have so much information that we have for ourselves, right? So now we have a lot of facts, right, on the table. There is no way that we have less facts in the world for us, right?
True.
Now, for example, as a marketer, I want to create an idea, right? And I have so many facts out there. How do I pick out that one observation or that one consumer insight, or that one particular fact that I know that this is going to hit the market?
One of the problem is that there are a lot of facts. Second is a lot of marketeers are tuned to create marketing strategies, campaigns, etc., sitting in the cozy boardrooms, sitting in the cozy conference rooms and meeting rooms. So my advice, strong advice to them is, please go out. You have facts, you have research data, etc., etc. Fine. Use them as a reference point for sure. Go out in the market, meet your audience, look at their stories, and that will bring something which is clutter breaking. As we are bombarded with information, marketers are bombarded with information, they want to cut the clutter. So is the audience, so is the consumer, right? They also want to cut the clutter and come to the fact. So there has to be a connection between what we are thinking in the boardroom or in the strategy meetings, etc., and what is actually happening on the ground. For that, reduce your screen time, rely on the data, but don't think that data is everything. Please go out in the field, slog, meet your audience, know what they are feeling, and then what you strategize is going to connect with the audience very well. That is the only way of doing it.
Yeah, interacting with people.
Interacting with people, interacting with audience, knowing their stories, knowing their pain points, knowing what excites them, knowing their behavior, knowing their lifestyle. I think that is where one should invest time. At least that has helped me a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, going out and meeting people.
Absolutely. I think that makes me remember one thing. So I was reading this book called Pandemonium. Okay, so it's written by Piyush Pandey, who's like everyone considers him like the guru of marketing today, right? So any ad that he's created, like that Fevicol ads that he's created with those interesting characters and individuals, right? So he used to travel in trains, deliberately. He used to travel so much and observe people, how they are behaving, how is a carpenter behaving, how is like a fisherman behaving, right? And he used to get inspiration by the way they used to act, and he used to involve them in his campaigns then.
Correct.
So I think you're right when you say that it is very important to, kind of go out, observe people, and, kind of interact with people and actually know what is it that they want and how is it that they behave, right? And that's something we call as design thinking also today.
Absolutely.
Correct? So, what you said is very closely also related with the fact that today we consider that someone who's doing marketing should also be doing sales. You've done sales for so long, right? And you've come out with an incredible book who's turned out into a bestseller, right? And that's I feel purely is also a fact that you've done so much sales and you've marketed the book well because you know people, right? So how important do you feel it is for people to first do sales and then do marketing?
Yeah, so sales actually give you a lot of ground realities, a lot of consumer behavior, insights into consumer behavior. It also gives you a lot of behavior of the intermediaries. For example, if you are selling your products to dealers or wholesalers or retailers, then their behavior is also very, very important when it comes to becoming or when it comes to constitute a marketing strategy or marketing campaign. So migration from sales to marketing or union of these two streams, I think is very, very important thing. Anything which is done in isolation, be it sales or be it marketing, is not going to help. What I feel is that we do consider them as two different streams, but I think it is almost the same thing, because marketing is some kind of promise of the product or services that is being done.
Absolutely.
And sales is something which is basically uh, ensuring that what is being promised is delivered or over delivered, at least in the thought process. This should be the thinking. So they are very, very interlinked thing, seamlessly interlinked into each other, wherein marketing is creating the aspiration and the demand, and sales is fulfilling the demand and making sure that customer is also understanding what we have promised is actually delivered to them.
Absolutely.
A classic example can be, I will just take some more time on it. Classic example, say from a car industry, is that we can promise a lot of good features which is there in the car, which consumer get attracted to, and he or she makes an inquiry. But if the salesman in the car showroom, when the customer is interacting with that salesman, he or she is not basically showing those features, and maybe is not aware of those features. Even if customer asks, I saw that feature in the ad, is it there? And the sales consultant or the salesperson is not able to actually demonstrate that feature in the car, the entire effort of marketing get wasted, right? So I think these two are very, very interlinked departments or functions in any industry, and they should be working very, very closely with each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that's a very valid point. So, tell some of your marketing strategies that you've used for your book.
Oh yes. So I was in sales and marketing verticals throughout my life, and I thought that it was going to be very easy when it comes to book marketing.
It's not.
But it is not. It is very, very difficult. And what I realized is that especially for any author or any budding author, I would say the book is like your own child, right? You have to take care of your child. No one else is going to take care of it, and that is what I adopted. Uh, like children go to school, right? So the relationship between, say, a publisher and the book is something like the school and the child. They will do their bit, but it is ultimately parents' responsibility to take care of their child's development, right?
Yeah.
Same is with the book. Maybe it is being published by a renowned publisher, but they are going to pay attention to it as one of their products out of their dozens of products. Absolutely. Or projects they are working on. So as an author, I took the lead, and I am leading it from the front completely from day one, you can say. And my approach is to reach out. I reached out to many people. I presented my book to many business leaders also because of the context of the book, and that has helped me a lot. Being present on social media, doing some campaigns also helps. But one fundamental thing is that it is you who has to take care of your child, of your book, and lead it from the front. But I, with a one small advice which is also very important is that ultimately it is the content of the book which has to fly with the audience.
Yeah.
So marketing starts when you are actually making the product itself, right?
Correct.
You cannot just spend money or time or energy and you think that a bad product can be sold. So my whole focus when I was developing the product or writing the book was to create a very nice product so that when people read it, they really like it.
Yeah.
So my marketing starts from the product development itself. And when the product came, I just reached out to as many people as I can. And that has helped me a lot. And that is what I am going to do for my future books also.
That's so nice. And this is your first book, right?
Yes.
So, being a debut author, I'm sure it must have been very challenging for you, right? So, what advice would you give to all the upcoming authors or people who are like publishing for the first time or trying to get their book published for the first time?
So my journey was a mixed bag. It was very interesting to write. It was sometimes becomes very tedious to polish it, read the manuscript dozens of times yourself,
absolutely.
and keep on correcting it. And then you have to deal with a lot of service providers. Sometimes you have to evaluate a lot of editors. Sometimes you have to evaluate lot of book cover designer, etc., etc. And sometimes you have to have a literary agent to get your book published by a traditional publisher. So all that process is sometimes very cumbersome and tedious, but I can guarantee you one thing, focus on the right kind of product. The objective should be to come out with a very nice book, content is good, book cover is good, the look and feel of the page is good, it is rightly priced also. So focus on the product, and I can guarantee that whatever pain you will go through as a first time author or as a multiple time author also, it is going to be worthwhile, because when you hold the book in your hand, the feeling it gives you, the smell of your book, the feeling it generates is incomparable with what you have gone through as a pain part of the story. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. And a lot of people ask me also that how can they start writing? Like, it's so difficult. So I interact with a lot of aspiring authors, right? And a lot of them say, Aakriti, discipline nahi ban pa raha hai. We don't know how to keep writing continuously, because it's easy to write one LinkedIn post, or it's easy to write like about a blog, right? But it's so difficult to convert that into a book because it's so much more, right? So what advice would you give them, that how can they continuously write?
Yeah. So very valid question. I think first thing that one needs to become an author or to write a book is to get inspired. So if you are inspired enough, if you are attached with the subject, right, you will find time for it. Definitely you will find time for it. I have also come across a lot of people who gave me idea that they want to write a book around that subject. They have entire storyline around it also. They are excited about it also, but then that fades off. So if you are not able to keep your inspiration intact, if you are not able to keep that motivation level high, you will not be able to find time for it. We all have 24 hours with us, right? There is no discrimination on the time front. It is all about prioritizing. If you are really hooked and excited about writing a book, then you will find time for it for sure. If you are not, then you will not be able to do that. Let's assume that you are inspired enough and you are hooked to the subject. I think after that, building the characters, building the story, building the narrative is going to be easy. Don't think about making a thick book. I would say sometimes people get the feeling that if the book is thick, then only it is a good book. I have read very small thin books myself, and they are brilliant, very nicely compiled books. So don't get bogged down by the fact that book has to be thick. Just write what you have. It should be interesting enough, and it should be satisfying enough to you. And if you are okay with the content, then just go and publish it. If it is a traditional publishing, fine. If it is not, then go for self-publishing. So saying that I'm not getting time for it or I'm not getting the plot for it, actually is the problem is not with the time or the plot, it is the problem with the inspiration. So find your inspiration and then you will find the flow, find the time, everything.
Absolutely. And talking about inspiration, who is your favorite author, or which is that one book that you really, really love?
So it's a very difficult question because I have read a few very good books, but I think Scott Adams, who has written Dilbert series, is one author who has really uh, inspired me, and I like his cartoons. I like his what he has written. Among the Indian authors, I also read a lot of novels of Shivani. She writes in Hindi. I mean, she's not there anymore, but I have read her stories, and she narrates. She builds the characters, places very nicely. Apart from that, I have read, I mean, many authors. So no particular author is can be called as a favorite. But yes, a lot of authors have touched my life.
Absolutely. That's so nice. So, Rohit, give us some examples of powerful marketing and, storytelling that, you feel like examples of them that have created an emotional connect with the audience.
I will, take. I will give the answer, but I will not take any typical product or a service. I will talk about a Bollywood film which you might have seen, which is Sholay, right? Uh, if you look at the story of Sholay, right, it is typically like there is a Daku Gabbar Singh, there is a head of the village Thakur. He bought two goons, Jay and Viru. They to tackle that Daku. So they did that. They caught him. In the process, one got killed. Jay got killed, right? So that was the story. But the narrative, the character building, the incidences which are used in the story are so compelling that even if it is shown to today's generation, say a 12-year-old, they can relate with that story. They can relate with that characters. And see, the beauty of that film is that we don't remember only, say, Gabbar Singh, Thakur, Jay, Viru, Basanti.
Yeah.
We also remember अंग्रेज़ों के ज़माने का जेलर. We also remember Sambha. We also remember Surma Bhopali, right? And not only humans, we also remember the horse Dhanno, right? Who has not uttered a dialogue or a word in the entire movie. We still remember the character very well. That is the power of good narrative. The story was quite simple, but the picturization, but the entire side stories, the characters that is built by the by that group or by the director or by the storyteller is so amazing that it connects with everyone. Absolutely. Always. So that is one example, and second example comes from the history. I think Mahatma Gandhi did the Dandi Yatra march, right, wherein he said that he will walk some 250 miles and go and make salt, right? Now that was a story. He could have gone on a maybe a cart or train also, but he said that I will walk, right? And thousands of people walked with him. What he was trying to do, he was trying to make salt. Maybe some kgs of salt is not going to make him richer or the poor citizens richer. But what he was doing, he was creating, instilling the confidence in the among the Indians that we can defy Britishers. We can. Absolutely. Yeah, we can break the law. It is our country. We will do what we want, the way we want. So to build that confidence, he built this story of Dandi March, Dandi Yatra, and that helped him when he declared kind of quit India movement, right? Absolutely. Millions of people followed him blindfoldedly because he has sold the story that we can defy Britishers, and that was the turning point of Indian history in the recent times, I would say. So these are the two examples that you asked, which are the compelling stories. So one is from the Bollywood Sholay, and one is from the history, I would say. Every marketer should see, if they want to really create a mass movement or charisma around a say a content. which last for decades, right? They should look at these two things: the minuteness, the detail with which they have been made.
Absolutely. I think, why I asked you about examples is because you've given so many examples. You've built so many characters in this podcast when you talk about a chef or when you talk about your own characters or about that chai wale bhaiya, right? I think it's just so interesting to listen to more such characters. I think that is the power of storytelling. It just keeps you so engaged and so interested in the conversation that's happening. So I think that's incredible.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah. So now that we come towards the end of the podcast, I would love for you to, share some message or some learnings with our budding authors, budding marketers as to what they can do to actually elevate their game.
I think the operating word for budding authors and for budding marketeers is authenticity. I think please nurture your thought process and focus on being authentic, on being credible, because all strategies, all content, all creations that you do had to be authentic, right? So whenever you are toying with an idea, especially for say marketeers, be sure, make sure that what you are delivering as a message in your campaigns, in your whatever collaterals that you are making, maybe digital, maybe physical, all has to be very, very authentic.
Yeah.
The product or the service that you are going to sell through those campaigns or those designs or those strategies should be able to deliver more than what you are
Right.
raising as an expectation. So I think I would suggest and I would highly recommend one word, which is preserve your credibility by being authentic. I think that is something which is very, very important for marketeers and for budding authors as well.
Absolutely. I think that is great advice. And so this is your first book, right?
Yes.
We would love to know more about your upcoming books. What are they about?
Oh yes, so I'm working on 3 projects parallelly. One is almost complete, which is collection of my Hindi poetry. I write poetry in Hindi, so that is going to be released some time. But I'm working on 2 other projects. One is around sales and marketing professionals. So
Wow.
I think your
My audience
will
be
be
excited.
yeah, I'm sure. And one is I'm writing on the leadership, wherein I'm talking about credible leadership in detail, from the practices, from my own life's anecdotes, wherein I see some good leaders, where I see some bad leadership also. So it is going to be quite black and white with some shades of gray when it comes to leadership.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think I'm looking forward to all 3 projects, and I'm definitely going to read this one, and I'm going to advise my audience also to go and read this. So thank you so much for coming today. I think it was lovely having a conversation with you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Aakriti, for having me here. I really, really enjoyed this conversation, and thanks a lot.
Thank you. So, guys, that was the end of today's episode. If you liked our content, comment below what are the topics that you want to hear from us next, and we'll make an episode on that. And go like, share, subscribe.